because you can't go more than 10 minutes in this country without getting a scam call, right? And when they call, it cuts the stream off. So I think I fixed it now. I think I got it on Do Not Disturb. Hopefully that should work. I haven't combed my hair yet. There we go. So anyways, rudely interrupted by yet another scam call. We've hopefully got that figured out. Anywho, this is probably for the best. It gives us a chance to kind of rehash what we were talking about. I've been reading The Capture of Matilda Lockhart in the book, seminal reading, like we said. Early Settlers and Indian Fighters of Southwest Texas. Must read if you like these kind of stories. They're very short. Came across the Matilda Lockhart story and decided we should rehash that again because it's such a butterfly effect story, meaning that one little event kind of reverberates through history and seems to change everything. And good to see everybody. Thank you guys for switching the stream. Sorry about that. Technical difficulties, you know what I mean? You should go look at the Rolling Stones in like 1965 and 1970. They figured out a lot of stuff in there. You had to hang speakers and everything. That's what we're doing, figuring out the technicalities. So in I was saying like, oh yeah, this is a kind of an important point. Even in these areas today, in Seguin, in the Gonzales, Texas, everywhere along the Guadalupe River, south or east of San Antonio, everybody is out picking pecans in the fall. It's still a big thing. Pecans are big in Texas. Seguin actually says Seguin does, to be fair, have the world's largest pecan. It's like a great big statue of a pecan, but it's still the world's largest. It's a big part of the culture. People still do it. That goes all the way back. It goes all the way back to many centuries ago. You can read the accounts of Cabeza de Vaca, who was kidnapped, really kind of saved by the Karankawa in the 1500s and survived with them, but really was a prisoner. He was forced to do slave labor. One of his jobs was picking pecans. So they'd go up and down the Guadalupe River, still in this area, picking pecans. And that tradition carried on because they're super dense in fats and super dense in calories. So it's a good survival food and it's readily available in the fall. It still happens today, and it happened back in the 1830s. And in 1838, Matilda Lockhart, her cousin James Putnam, and two of her older sisters were down kind of in this in-between area, in between Gonzales, the south of Gonzales, and like a little east of Seguin. So it's not in a town today, but it's right along the Guadalupe River. They go down there to go pick pecans, and I don't know, within couple hours, they didn't hear this approaching war party, and it was a Comanche war party. And there in the 1830s, it kind of weirds me out that her parents let her go pick pecans because she's a young 12, 13-year-old girl, and they're just like, yeah, go pick pecans. It'd be like saying to do that in, I don't know, modern day Pakistan, Syria, any very dangerous country, right? Just being like, oh, go pick pecans, you're fine. So they go pick pecans, and then Matilda gets captured. Her James Putnam gets captured, and I think one of her sisters does as well. They're all taken. They're gone. Then we have to figure out, the community and her family have to figure out, well, how are we going to get her back? This happens all the time, especially in 1830s Texas. It is like the scourge of the area. Their children are getting kidnapped all the time. And the Comanche don't just kidnap them to kidnap them. They kidnap them to adopt them into the tribe or to ransom them back, specifically children. And this is why this became such a butterfly effect, because 2 years later, this goes really more like a little over a year later, because we're in late 1838 when Matilda Lockhart gets captured and her cousins and sister gets captured. We go about a little over a year into the spring of 1840. And San Antonio, the citizens of San Antonio, the authorities in San Antonio, call for this kind of parley meeting for the Comanche to come into San Antonio. We'll have a meeting and we want to get our hostages back. So the Comanche say, okay, we'll bring all the hostages that we've taken to San Antonio and we'll negotiate for them. Okay, cool, we're gonna have a peaceable meeting. They come to this place called the Council House. But there's a lot of Comanche, there's women, children, there's dozens and dozens of them. But there's only one captive, it's Matilda Lockhart. The next piece of information is a little apocryphal. Some people say Charles Goodnight's wife, I believe it's Nancy Goodnight, left an account of her nose being burned off. I think there's a couple other contemporary accounts, but some say it wasn't. Either way, she was visibly mistreated, had been visibly, I guess I don't think I can use the the word that rhymes with caboose, but yeah, visibly mistreated, visibly tortured, uh, you know, roughed up. The citizens of San Antonio take great exception to this because it's like, A, what happened to her? What did you do to Matilda? B, where are the rest of them? Where's James Putnam? Where's her sister? Where are the dozens of other captives that you've taken over the last couple years? That becomes a point of contention in the council house. They go in, they're talking, and they say, "Where are the other captives?" The Comanche chiefs say, like, "We don't know." Like, really, he didn't know in a lot of ways because different bands would take different captives. So to say, to demand of the Comanche that they bring in all their captives it betrayed a real misunderstanding of the local authorities because they still thought the Comanche were a monolith. So it was like, well, the Comanche are one thing. Really, the Comanche were these autonomous bands. A lot of tribes what am I trying to say? A lot of tribes operated. It's still early in the morning for me. I'm taking another cup of coffee here. A lot of tribes operated this way, semi-autonomous bands more than one monolithic culture. So this chief was bringing in the captives that he had, and really he was holding out because they did have the other Lockhart sister and the other James Putnam, the other cousin. But they only brought Matilda. It becomes a point of contention, then it becomes a point of argument, then it becomes a point of violence, and it erupts into the council house fight. It is what it sounds like. It's a little house. It's still there in San Antonio, and there's just like a street fight inside of it. Guns being pulled, knives being pulled, stabbing, shooting, all that stuff. Boom, 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 boom. It all goes in a couple seconds. It's a melee inside. Then it spills out into the streets, and the other Comanche figure out what's going on. The women and children do. Two kids, like 10, 9-year-old kids, they take their toy bow and arrow and shoot a local judge. There's a whole vicious battle outside, but it's like women and children and a couple of warriors left. And really, the Comanches start fleeing. They're trying to get out of the city now because they are vastly outnumbered and they're not in a position to wage a big battle because they have their families and everything there. So they're going into empty buildings in San Antonio. They're getting trapped in corners and just like cut down. The warriors are all cut down. They're accounts of guys like waiting outside of a house with an axe and they burn the roof. And as soon as the Comanche come out, they Friday the 13th them. All this stuff. It's real. It happened right in downtown San Antonio, like where you go get your sushi or go watch a concert. I just watched a concert there not too long ago, and you're going, whoa! The council house fight happened right here. It was really bad. The most of the Comanche end up being taken captive. The women and children, most of them taken captive, but that's not as genteel as it sounds because they're just put into this open roof building, and they would, like, instead of feeding them, they would throw scraps of food over the wall. And there was a couple Comanche that escaped, and they go back to their people and they say, this is what they did to us. This is how they treated us. They in their view, they were ambushed and lied to, and they were set up. So this creates even more animus with the Comanche and really solidifies them as, victims in their own mind, because it's like, well, we honored our terms here and you ambushed us and took captive our women and children. So it just explodes. The whole frontier explodes into even more raiding, even more fights between the Comanche and the Rangers were still pretty new at this point, but Rangers and frontiersmen and settlers. It just becomes an even worse battlefield than it was. All right, sorry if you can hear the neighbor's dog barking. Good dog, but when he starts barking, he's going to keep going till he stops. Let me see real quick. LP Progressives, L Progressive says, people had to grow up fast. They had to. God bless the shoulders of the giants we walk on. Yeah, these were tough people. Both, obviously the Comanche and the Texans. Doc Will, what's up, Doc? Afternoon, all. Many women did come back after captivity, were shunned. Yeah, absolutely true. It's hard to find exact accounts of what happened to Matilda's sister and her cousin. James Putnam seems to have possibly stayed with the Comanche, and her sister was either unalived just after as a retaliation for the council house fight, or I read another account. The Southwest Indian Fighters gives the account that she actually survived, lived with the tribe for many years, and had kind of like a flashback when the tribe traveled through the Guadalupe River Valley again, and was like, I think I've been here before. And they were like, let's just not talk about that. But in S.C. Gwynn's Empire of the Summer Moon, I'm pointing to it because it's right over there, he says, oh no, everyone was unalived in retaliation. So not real sure what happened, but it wasn't particularly great, right? But the Council House fight, that really you can mark Texas history before and after the Council House fight, because that was the tinderbox that set everything off. Because both sides now can see themselves as having been wronged, and it justifies both sides continuing animus and violence towards each other. It's like, well, we're not having a peace deal now because you screwed me, I screwed you, and or you know what I mean. Both sides have been screwed over, so we're not coming to terms now. The Comanche did have like a peaceable treaty with the Germans in the Hill Country, which was weird. They viewed them as like a separate entity, so they were like cool with them for decades. But everybody else, they're like, no, you're going to pay for the Council House fight. And obviously, as the decades go, you accumulate more and more troubles. But really, it's the Council House fight that started everything, that kicked it off. And if these kids hadn't gone picking pecans that day, could something else have happened? Were other kids going to get kidnapped? Absolutely. But the way it played out, if those kids hadn't gone picking pecans the way they still do today, the way they've always done in this area for eons, this wouldn't have unfolded the way that it did unfold. So it's a very seminal event, a very curious event, and one that I think you need an understanding of that to understand things that came before it and things that came after it, not just in Texas history, because I think they'll say, like, as California goes, so goes the nation in politics and everything else, right? But really, in the 19th century, a lot of the frontier, a lot of the Indian wars that took place in the decades after, it was like as Texas went, so went the frontier in a lot of ways, because it set the precedent for how these succeeding decades were going to unfold. So yeah, I just thought that was an interesting event, and one that you cover it in the episode. We say, yeah, she was kidnapped, and we, kind of set the stage for it. But really, the in-depth story, which is like 2 pages in the book, is it summarizes it well, and it's a visceral account of how this unfolded, because they're young kids and they're kidnapped, and this happened on both sides. They would kidnap Comanche kids. So it's and you know what? It's just the way it was. It wasn't. It was shocking, but not terribly unusual for everyone involved. Let's see here. All right, we're gonna check the chat real quick. Hold on. I'm almost done with this one, and I got like half a cup left. And it's strong too. It's black coffee. That's all we drink here. If you tell me you drink something else, I will report you. I would prefer that you if you don't drink coffee, I would prefer that you just turn yourself in to the nearest law enforcement authority. I think that's the honorable thing to do. I'm scrolling through the chat. Doc Will says, don't underestimate Comanche women. I used to date one. Wow, did you really? I think I'm kind of jealous. Yeah, you can't, they were fighting like mad in the Council House fight, and many times before and after, they were oftentimes just as skilled horsemen. They were very familiar with weapons. They were pretty good hunters. It was just a matter of kind of allocating your personnel. That you could fill their spot. They weren't going to fill a spot of a warrior on a war party, but they could defend the village, and they could obviously fight back in the Council House fight. They were a formidable force, and so were the kids. Let's see. El Progressive says, Comanche and Apache stories are amazing. The feud stories are great history reads. Yeah, and they fought each other the Comanche kind of ran a extermination campaigns of sort on the Apache. They, in like a couple decades, the Apache had a lot of Texas, and the Comanche just flat pushed them out in a couple decades. They relegated them to like kind of western regions, away from the buffalo herds, which was the big thing. Even in the 19th century, it's about location, location, location. Let's see. Space Cowboy, what's up? Good morning, man. Well, wherever you are, good to see you. Pecan pie, we were just talking about it. It's the superior pie. If you haven't watched last night's live stream, go check it out. Let's see. And that's not opinion, it's just fact, scientific fact. Let's see. I wish you were my history teacher. We all could have learned so much and actually paid attention. Great storyteller. Thank you. Thanks, Chuck. I had some good history teachers, but really, the most when I went to I got my whatever BA in history, BS in history. But yeah, the most I've ever learned was on YouTube, just listening to guys talk. So glad you're here. Can't see to watch. Love history. Come back this evening, Misty Frog. This is just kind of we're just hanging out, but we'll do a long one this evening. It's either going to be on MK Ultra and the Old West or Young Washington. I got a couple of topics I'm ticking around. And I don't, oh, you don't plan them weeks ahead of time? No, I do not. It's a rock and roll history show, okay? No, I do not. And one interesting thing that I really liked, another captive story, and I was thinking about telling this one, and we'll do its own live stream on it, but anytime I touch this, it looks like I'm in Los Angeles in 93. But one that I really like, and I think is even more exemplary of the brutality these kids were thrown into, because when you were kidnapped, it was just like you're not only taken away from your family, you're thrown into an entirely new, diametrically, and a culture that's diametrically opposed to almost everything you know. And I think a real good account of that is Herman Lehman's account, because he wrote it firsthand, and he didn't get kidnapped till the 1870s, so a little bit later in the history of Texas, or at least early Texas, and he survived well into the 19th century. So there's pictures of this guy in both Comanche dress and in like a regular suit. Looks like a insurance salesman or something. But he was kidnapped in 1870 with his brother. His brother Willie ended up like wiggling his way off the horse and getting away. But the Comanche or the Apache that kidnapped them took Herman and just rode and rode and rode and rode and rode and rode and rode. And I think his brother was still with him in the early days and weeks of this, but they're just getting terribly sunburned. They're dehydrated. They're exhausted. They have no food. There's no food for days. They're just like riding for days and days. This is how war parties worked. They would sneak in and then just bail out. You just go as fast as you can to get to the open plains or the open desert as fast as you can, because you're not going to get caught there. You got to get past the hills, and then basically no search party, no ranger party is going to be able to catch up to you. So they're bailing. They're getting out of the territory. They stop finally. They're like in the middle of the plains, and they stop and they find two little baby antelope, and they're like nesting. And the antelope will go out and feed and leave their, like deer, they'll go out and leave their baby so they can go feed. The Apache are just like, sweet, right? Like it's like us stopping at a gas station or something. So they scoop these up, and Herman's like, all right, like I guess we're gonna go, cook these up. We'll like cut them up and stuff, whatever. They go all the way back to the camp, and they just take the baby antelope and throw them on the fire alive. And they're like, even like Herman's a frontier kid. He's grown up in a life much rougher than very likely any of us have ever seen. And even he is just like, what's happening here? What's going on? I don't know if I'm this hungry. And the Apache are just like, wait, just check this out. And the babies are going, right? Not a good scene. But finally, the mama antelope hears this, and she comes in, and the Apache take her out. And the Apache are just like looking at him like, we told you, dog, like we got it all figured out. And Herman's just like obviously horrified, but not so horrified that he doesn't eat. But to me, that was one of the wild, I don't know, it'd have to be pretty hungry. And I think that would stick with you if you weren't used to it. But that was normal practice. And it's not because they were brutal people. It's not because they were vicious people per se. It's because this is what it took. You do what it takes to stay alive. And this is what it took out on the frontier, on the plains, on the open expanses. So it's, I think, shocking for us, but it really, to me, it's all about context. History is about understanding context, and it's good to know these things, because it's like, no, you're not talking about, we think of it, I think, a lot of times as like tribes that are very in tune with nature, which they were, but who would use the most humane harvesting practices and who would never waste anything. And it's like, that's not the case. Like the whole world was kind of your grocery store, and sometimes there was nothing in the grocery store, and sometimes you didn't have time to stop and cook something. It was all about getting to the next day, and that is extremely difficult. Like go drive out on the plains right now, park your car, and just start walking and see how long you think you could. Don't do that. I'm just saying as a mental exercise. Think about like how long you could survive without the actual grocery stores and gas stations, etc. It's tough. It's tough. Even if you had a whole group of your best friends and family, it'd be tough. All right, we're gonna look at the. Oh wow, I've got more chats than I thought. Sorry guys, it didn't scroll up. Let's see. Space Cowboy says sadly. Oh yeah, we had somebody who had to go back to work or something, which sucks, man. Tied down to the man's clock. Time's an abstract concept, right? Let's see. Matthew Presley. Hello, sir. I want to say I absolutely enjoy the crap out of your material. Thanks, man. Really appreciate you being here. We have fun making it. So we got a lot coming. We got another stream today. We got an episode, I believe, tomorrow. Another episode this weekend. Got lots of stuff coming up. So stay tuned. Let's see. Surrender Monkey. What's up, man? Glad you made it to this. We're just hanging out, having some coffee. 2 desert rats during World War II were alone in the desert when one spots a bacon tree. Just before he runs towards it, his friend noticed it was an ambush, it was a ham bush, not a bacon tree. You have the jokes early in the day. Surrender Monkey, throwing it down. I don't even have enough coffee in me to laugh yet. That's funny. I like that. I knew when I started reading it, it said 2 desert rats. I was like, this is gonna go somewhere maybe I'm not ready for. Let's see. I'm glad you made it, Surrender Monkey. You're our voice of reason. What time is it in the UK, by the way? Up in Northern England. Let's see. Doc Will, yeah. Doswi, a jingle dancer. Did I miss something earlier? Oh, that's who you were married to. Is that right? Do I have that right? Matthew Presley, your material has inspired me to read multiple books on the Texas Rangers, Wild West history, Daniel Boone, Kit Carson, and of the always tragic, epic, and sometimes very dark Texas history. Yeah, that's great. That's what we're trying to do. We want to get people interested in this, and there's so many really good books. This is a really old one. We got this one. That's actually a contemporary account. So that's likely available online in a PDF. Usually you can get it for $10. The Empire of the Summer Moon. Oh, one I wanted to show you guys. This is a fantastic read if you are interested in a holistic view of the tribes on the North American continent. It is, I'll stop shaking it, Indigenous Continent by Pekka, I don't know, and Hämäläinen. It's a Nordic name of sorts. And I looked it up. I was like, maybe that's a girl? No, it's a dude. Super talented. He did a book on the Comanche. I believe it's called The Comanche as well. Absolutely top-notch researcher, very dense academic subjects, but a very accessible way of writing them. It is fantastic. Either the Comanche, that one, Indigenous Continent, basically anything Pekka Hämäläinen writes. It's gold. It's good. So highly recommend those if you don't have those yet. And you know what? I got them on here. So also, last one I'm going to recommend also the 3 Roads to the Alamo by William Davis. A lot easier to pronounce, but great book. It talks about Bowie, I think it's Bowie, but Bowie, Crockett, and Travis, how they got to the Alamo, what they did at the Alamo, and kind of their legacy afterwards. Really great book. So 3 of those, highly recommend those. Let's see. Be right back. Need to grab some tools, Doc says. What are you working on, Doc? 9 years with the Indians. Oh yeah, 9 years with the Indians. And there's so many first-hand accounts too. And those are usually available. You can just go find them online. But Nelson Lee, Herman Lehman, I'm forgetting some now. Olive Oatman, obviously, with the Mojave. Man. Oh, how am I forgetting this now? I'll remember. I'll have to next stream. I'm blanking on the guy's name, but there was Noah Smithwick. Spent a summer, maybe a winter with the Comanche. And this was in the 1830s when it's a good example of how different bands related, especially with the Rangers understood the bands of Comanche concept. Sometimes they'd get along. Sometimes they would parlay. I think Noah Smithwick was part of some kind of hostage exchange program, but they got along great. Jack Hayes, when he was the sheriff of San Francisco, Buffalo Hump, sent him a little silver spoon when his son was born. Like, they certainly respected each other. Like, they weren't just, I don't think it was as much hate as it was kind of disdain out of necessity. There was some hate. There was some hate, but these guys, like, it's odd. Like, they got along when they got along, and they really didn't when they really didn't. And Buffalo Hump, by the way, go read Empire of the Summer Moon. His name is not Buffalo Hump. His name means something that I can't even say on YouTube. A lot of the Comanche names, I love them. The Comanche are my favorite tribe to research, but I think I like them so much because a lot of their names are like X-rated. They're like very uh, uh, uncouth names in a lot of ways. Even Quanah means stink. They'll say, oh, it means odor, it means fragrance, but like kind of means little stinker. They have like Buffalo Hump does not mean that. There's one coyote private parts basically is what it means. There's several other ones. Like, you'll see a lot of Cheyenne names and Blackfoot names where it's like standing bear. A lot of like, oh, that's like it's smooth and cool. And the Comanches, who are like just running roughshod over everybody, like his name is Buffalo Hump means a problem that you might have. This is as close as I can get. It's a problem that you might have if you took a blue pill, which became available in the mid '90s. That might present a side effect, and that's what Buffalo Hump actually means. It's a hump that won't go down, right? Right? Like, that's a hell of a name. Okay, that crude subject to the side. How many books do you read a month? Man, I don't know. Some of them are really big books, some of them are thin books, and so you kind of just scan. I do more of like looking for an interesting story and then delving in on the story from there. That's why I like these collections of short stories, and then that kind of I'll find Matilda Lockhart and I'll start extrapolating that and finding other sources, firsthand accounts, books, stuff like that. But I don't read a lot of books just back to front. I do read this fantastic book, The Ghost Ledger. My friend wrote this. One of our on-staff writers at HOKC, Jack Shine, wrote this. Great book. It's a conspiracy thriller, action, and sports entertainment book. It sounds nuts, right? It sounds nuts, but it is so good. It's so good. It's a highly recommended. It's from Outlaw Fiction. I'll put a link to it in the description here. Okay, I'm serious. That's the only book I've read front to back in a while. Let's see, which kind of betrays my lack of discipline, I suppose. Let's see. Was watching yesterday's stream, left to catch this one, says Comic Dog. Go back and watch yesterday's stream too, though. We did it was fun, man. It's the Battle of the Pies. Tonight will be the Battle of the Cakes. I learned so much from your Battle of Seattle, says Sinaloan's Pride. Thanks. That's the one that a lot of people didn't know about. I've heard from several lifelong residents that they didn't know about the battle. Though everybody corrects my pronunciation, because everything up there is very hard to pronounce. I know it's easy for you guys, but it's very hard for hillbillies like me to pronounce. Let's see. Doc Will says, the book looks good. I'm rolling to work in an RV. After we all do Waco, let me know, and I'll grab my flintlock and come on down. We can do a traditional shoot day. Oh, very cool. I'll be down for that. I live right behind a big shooting. I'm not far. I guess not right behind it, but I know I'm close enough where I can hear these guys shooting all day. Sounds like Saigon in my house sometimes. We're gonna make this happen. We got like a lot of irons in the fire because we're doing the live streams and everything and doing the episodes and the shorts. So, but as probably sometime in the early next year, maybe January, we'll throw a lot of this other stuff we've been talking about together, trips and meetups and stuff like that, because it'd be fun. It's like, who, you know what I mean? Are you gonna talk to the guy in HEB about this history stuff? I've tried. Sometimes it weirds them out. Welcome to HEB, sir. Have you heard about Matilda Lockhart? I want to read George Washington's journals. They're something else, man. That guy, an eloquent guy, and they found a bunch of love letters between him and various mistresses during the war, which is like, it's not good. But I mean, guy's a Chad. It's not good. It's not good. But let's see. Man, I wish I could stay. Matthew Press. No worries, man. This will stay up. It's a show for the working man. So you come out and watch it whenever you have time. And come on back tonight, too. We'll do one at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. I'm not Eastern or Pacific, so sometimes I have to think that through. You should cover the Bear Flag. Yeah, the Bear Flag Revolt, says Jason name. Yeah, we got one coming, man. I'm from that area, so it's one that's like, oh, we have to do that. Sometimes I wonder if it's hard to sell to people not from California, but it's like, no, you need to understand how important this was and how wild this was. These guys were just like, we're revolting, that's enough. And they tried to take over the whole state. They went for it. Let's see. Pennsylvania Plowboy, what's up, man? Good to see you here. I was wondering if you're going to make it. Have to respect your enemies to prove that you are better. I agree with that. Like in boxing, MMA, you even like I don't know if John Jones and Daniel Cormier respect each other. And that's one of the few examples. Well, usually most of the time, two champions respect each other. Let's see. Julian Parker, hello. What's up, Julian? Glad you made it, man. Is this your first live stream? Maybe I've seen you before, but if it is, welcome in. If it's not, welcome back. Arizona Boy 96, what'd I miss? I got your email. I just saw it pop up, so I haven't read the second one yet, but I will be after we're done with this. Well, we were talking about, I keep forgetting, Matilda Lockhart. I keep wanting to say Martha Lockhart. Lots of names flowing through my brain here. Just you'll scroll back through. You'll like this one. We talked about captives and how it became this nexus for Texas history and American history. It's a butterfly effect thing. If this thing hadn't happened, things would have gone much differently. There's lots of Sinaloans. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. There's a lot of old pioneer stories about Indians up here in Port Townsend, Port Angeles area. Where, what state is that? Is that California? Let me know, Sinaloans pride. I'm actually a New Yorker, Jace Name says, and the Bear Flag Revolt has always captivated me. Man, lots of New Yorkers are super cool, man. It's like California, where everyone thinks you're from LA or San Francisco, and it's like, since living in Austin, I've met more people from LA and San Francisco than I ever have in my life. Where it's a mostly kind of country, ag land, and it's the same with New York, right? Like upstate New York, very Western New York, very different. I'm glad a New Yorker is interested in that, though. We'll do that. I like to do live streams on these topics now, too. So we'll get an episode and a live stream on it. Let's see. Anything with Winfield Scott? Yeah, we've done some on him with the Mexican-American War. Battle of Chapultepec comes to mind. And Battle of Huamantla as well. Those are two episodes we've done. So you can look those up on our channel. I'm going to do streams on those. Like things that we've even done episodes on before. A lot of times we can't fit everything in. So we'll be doing streams on topics we've done episodes on just to fill in the bricks, put a little mortar in there. The tribes from Vancouver rode in their canoes all the way to Port Townsend, Washington. Oh, man. Is that the Hidatsa? Maybe the Haida. But yeah, there were essentially Viking tribes. Not literally, but they were like armored canoe-based Viking tribes, the equivalent of Viking tribes in Canada. I think it's the Haida. I want to do an episode on them as well. Because a lot of people don't know about them, and they were wild. Let's see. I'd like to recommend the channel Unworthy. Oh yeah, I know Unworthy History. His burns burned almost to dust. Listened to it last night. Yeah, anything Unworthy History does is great. I think he had. I watched the William Crawford one where the William Crawford one is brutal, where they tie this guy to a stake and then like make him walk around it, and it takes them like a day and a half to burn him. It's not a good deal. Let's see, what else? He just did one a couple days ago that was really good. Yeah, Unworthy History. Go check him out as well. One came to fetch a squaw for his chief's father, but then fell in love with her himself on the canoe ride back. Luckily, his father approved of the match. So it's like old-time frontier tender. But yeah, glad everybody came out. Like I said, we'll be doing a live stream tonight at 8. We got some shorts coming out today that are really interesting. Another episode, I believe tomorrow. If not tomorrow, then Friday. Then one this weekend and a bunch of live streams in between. So keep tuning in. The pipeline is full. We got a lot of stuff we're excited to bring you. And yeah, we're going to go get ready for the next live stream and writing the next episode and back to work for us. Hopefully not back to work for everybody else. Hope you guys have a good day. Thank you all again for tuning in, and we will see you this evening. God bless.